What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 16 of the Seller Club podcast.
What's up, everybody? How are you doing? Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing good today. How are you, Kenny?
Doing good. I think.
You're ready for this episode. Anna, how are you?
I'm great. Sweet 16. Let's go. Maybe we should drop a beat.
Let's drop them beats.
Glad we did that. I like that we always do that, actually. It's really fun.
Yeah,
And
the beat out of the
like,
way.
yeah, it's like kind of like our deep inhale. Like
it is.
like we're ready, and then
It's like
just
grounding,
yep.
gets you in the
So-
flow, gets you in the groove.
Exactly.
Well, are you guys ready to tackle a topic?
Sure,
Oh.
what is it?
Always ready. Always ready.
Depends.
What is it?
Okay, our topic today is, in fact, the thing that I was thinking of last episode when Ken said this quote, which I will revisit in a minute. But I said in the episode, oh yeah, like we're going to talk about that in a future episode. And I didn't realize that it was actually
this
the
already.
very next one. Yeah, we already had a plan to do it next. So it was perfect. More perfect than I even realized. But the topic is the value of selling nothing. And the quote that Ken said was, I never lose, I only learn. And I think, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were talking about how that was your mindset as you were learning to do this business. And that was your attitude about figuring things out as you went.
Yeah, I think when I made that post, I was probably in high school when I first had access to Facebook, and I've just never really changed my bio there.
Oh, right,
and
right.
So it kind of like just became more of like a lens that every time I'm trying something different, since then I've done so much different stuff, like different businesses. I've had a coffee shop. I had a electrical supply gig. I had a car shop. I had a car wash, and everything was like daunting. And I think I started my entrepreneurial journey at 16, and it's scary, for sure. But also too, I knew that I didn't have much to lose, but I had so much to gain. I wasn't thinking about profit, but I was already thinking about experience. And my dad always reminded me when I messed up, he said, charge it to experience. So it's like you learn something out of a mess up that, even though you tried your best, right? The output doesn't really directly proportional correlate to the input. Because sometimes there are so many uncontrollable variables. So that's kind of like how I came up with that quote.
Sometimes. All the time.
Most of the time.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know why. I feel like this is a really similar phrase, but I really like the way that you say it better than the phrase fail forward. Like, have you guys heard that before?
Yeah.
It's like similar, very, very parallel concept, but I like the idea about learning rather than losing. I don't know. We all
sounds like
fail,
it hurts.
right? But yeah, it does. It sounds
hurts,
like
fail
it has like a more negative
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like it's like
connotation.
sliding down the steps on the icy steps. Either you fail forward or backward, and they both
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
both down.
Yeah.
Fail
Well, at least
down
the
to the
front
ground.
one. Man,
Yeah.
hurt your face or something.
For sure.
I don't like that. I was kind of confused about today's title. I thought it was an episode about nothing, kind of like a Seinfeld type of. I guess I was totally
This
off.
is our show about nothing. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man, scratch all of this. Let's just have a Seinfeld episode.
Just an episode
Can
about
I be
nothing.
Kramer? Actually, I think I would be obligated to be Elaine, honestly. Which I would.
Okay. We should
do
all
with
be
great-
Kramer.
with
3
great honor.
Kramers.
Well,
That
that's
would
I
be
like that.
chaos.
that's kind of crazy though, because you have to excuse me. I didn't grow up here, and
You can be Jerry. It's fine.
I never really like got into The Office and all that jazz.
Yeah.
It's just maybe I need to watch it. So
You have big main character energy though, so you should be Jerry.
Well,
Or Newman.
send me an episode which one I should watch or
There's
like
so
that
many.
kind of like
man.
describe the most.
Oh, that's tough.
It is
Huh?
tough. It is
Yeah,
so
it's
tough.
really tough. Yeah.
Okay,
It's,
if there's any Seinfeld fans listening right now, please send
DM
in
me,
your
send me a
top,
link.
top 2 episodes that Ken should watch.
Mhm.
oh man. Okay.
Next thing
We
you know,
can't
you
like
just hear
start
me
any
start
riots,
quoting
so it's so,
So-
funny.
yeah, I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
So, the value of selling nothing and what you're willing to learn. Here's the thing though, now when you're let's say down the road, getting married, have a family, have your own house,
Yeah.
it gets really tough. It gets tougher and tougher to try new things because you really need something to be working because you got bills to pay, you got people to support and feed, and so I guess it's kind of like what they say, right? It's like when you don't have money, you have time, and so maybe like you do have more time to try new things and
Yeah,
to
you
see
don't have a
what
lot.
kind of
You
works
don't have
for
a lot
you.
to lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
Well, yeah.
yeah, go ahead. The
There's
opposite,
so much-
it's hard.
There's so much potential. Like when this topic came about, I was having a conversation with John, my husband, and he kind of had the idea of conceptualizing it this way, and like the title, like the value of selling nothing, probably because I had had a day where I had no sales. Like recently, even with 10,000 items, like last year was freaking slow at times for all the reasons I've already talked about ad nauseum. But like, it was a 0 sales day. That doesn't freak me out anymore. Like that occasionally just like happens, and it's weird and it's rare that it does happen. But it's just kind of like almost funny now because I'm like, wow, out of like literally actually over 11,000 items, 0 of them sold like occasionally in one day, right? But what that means is, you know, when this would happen in the past, sometimes I would be like, it would make me nervous, you know, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, why didn't anything sell today? And I'm just like preoccupied with, well, is something going to sell? Like now it's dinner time, nothing is sold. Is it really going to be a 0 today? Like that's terrible, you know? And now I don't care because it's just like all things in balance, all things in averages. Like I'm not sweating it really. Like I might like be slightly discouraged, but it doesn't really rock my boat at all anymore. So it's fine when it happens occasionally, but I, you know, what that means logically and like logistically for me is that tomorrow I won't have to ship anything. So it's kind of funny because now if that happens, if that ever happens occasionally, I'm like, wow, what am I going to do tomorrow? Because I don't have this big chunk of my day that I normally spend shipping, you know, and like what you're saying, Glenn, is so applicable because it's like, what are you going to do with that time? You know, like the business is always in flux anyway. So like I'm always flexible with my time to some extent. But am I going to take that opportunity to rest or to do something creative or to double down and list twice as many things? Like we have choices to make, you know, with the selling nothing. And so there's kind of that side of it, like what happens like when you sell nothing, or let's just say it's a different context and you take a break or you're on time away, you know, what is the value in that? And also like if there are reasons like within your control why you're selling nothing, like your inventory sucks, then what's the value in that? Like what are you learning from that, you know, which is more in the line of what Ken said in the first place in his quote. So I think there's a lot of ways to kind of, you know, turn this topic around several angles and look at it. But yeah, it's like so back to what you were saying though, Glenn, about when you don't have money, you have time. Like, how do you think that all fits in to reselling?
Well, I think if you have that extra time, then you probably should be doing some extra listing or extra sourcing or doing something to make up for that. But
like
I
still
mean, I get it
business
too.
activities.
Probably, yeah, to kind of make up for it. I feel like if you do have a weekly to monthly goal,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. You're not going to get a ton of sales every day, but you could get nervous to where like, all right, there's 0 sales today. What if there's 0 sales tomorrow?
Right.
And
That
it starts, like,
is when it starts
haunting
getting
you.
actually terrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh no.
Yeah.
And
It,
sometimes
somebody turned off the faucet of my store, like the button. They hit the
exactly
button.
the
Yeah,
button.
Switch.
it's
The EV
that whole
switch.
the switch. Yeah, the switch. I couldn't think of the term.
And
Thank you.
what happens is that you're like, well, I have no sales today. I have a low ball offer. Let me just take this one, and it gets like the ball rolling.
Mm.
And then now you're taking less money on that item than you originally wanted to because you
Now
are
you're
a little
settling.
nervous.
Now you're
Yeah,
settling.
Now you're settling. Yeah, you're letting your
yeah,
anxiety drive the bus.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And you're like, okay, let me
Yeah.
take this one, and then that could be your only sale, and then what? And then there's also those people that are like, okay, well, I got a couple offers in the morning. They're a little low, but if I take them early, it'll kick off the day, and I'll get way more offers as the day goes on. It kind of starts it off hot, and then more sales come in, which we don't know if any of that is really true or not.
Yeah,
I
it's
find
like,
it.
is there attitude karma or not?
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, I find it really crazy that, whether you have 1,000 listings or 10,000 listings, just the whole idea that there's somebody out there looking
Yeah.
to buy your item is pretty crazy too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
someone
for
has
sure.
to really be looking for that. They like that item, they want to purchase that item. They're going to spend their hard-earned money on it and at a price that they feel is great for them, whether it's a buy it now or they're going to send you an offer. Just the fact that someone's buying something from you is really put it into perspective. I think people feel that, like, yeah, that switch thing, and how come people aren't buying this? How come people aren't buying that? And it's not like it's like an auto buy or everything's just supposed to sell no matter
Yeah.
what. Like, just because it's online, it's someone has to really want that item. So
Yeah. That like for me when I think about that, it trickles into like there's just an unfathomable number of people in the world and thus on the internet, and it's just like blows my mind. Like
yeah,
I have that same thought though, especially when I'm listing stuff. I'm just like can't imagine like what's going to happen to this thing, you know?
or you're just driving and you're like, does the car in front of me? Do the people inside know what eBay is? Do they
Yes,
care
I
what
have those
eBay
thoughts.
is?
Those are called intrusive thoughts. No, but I think about that stuff too. Like, yeah, how do our worlds like touch and interface in ways that we
Yeah.
see and don't see? Like, it's so interesting.
So I just start honking at them. I'm like, eBay, get on there now.
You just stick your eBay flag out the window and wave it really hard.
Wave it.
Wave your eBay scarf. Wear your
Yeah,
eBay
exactly.
scarf. Flick the eBay scarf. I was
An
like,
eBay Open 2023 scarf. I love it.
And I know that they do, a lot of radio ads, but how many people are listening to the radio ads? Sometimes I'll hear it at the post office because they just have
Yeah.
like regular radio on. And I'm like, it's always the eBay Motors. It's never anything else. Like, can
Yeah,
we get
let's
some
ride.
sneakers? Sneaker
Get
commercials?
sneakers.
eBay
Can you
sneakers
imagine?
featuring Ken the Hustlebee.
Can
Right
you imagine
now.
the backlash if they did sneakers commercials?
Oh,
Again.
that's true.
From other
Again.
sellers.
Again, yeah. And it's always like, get some parts for your, I don't know, ride or die with eBay Motors or something
Yeah.
like that.
They've been pretty aggressive with eBay Motors. 'Cause that's like their focus category for them. It seems
Yeah.
like lately.
They've done like
Mm.
special marketing campaigns for it for sure. But I
So
think it's
circling
cool.
back,
Like,
circling back. What
Yeah.
else? What else, Anna? What should we ask our listeners, or what are other, maybe more in depth, a little bit more specific, maybe some actionable steps? Should we talk about that? Um, Tell us a little bit more
Sure.
about it.
well, one thing that kind of comes to mind, like even as I'm talking about this topic springing up out of probably, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it happened because I had a day like in 2023 where I had zero sales, $0, 0 items sold, right? Probably even got a return for good measure. Who knows? I don't remember the specific day, but, and the fact that now, like, as what I feel like is a more seasoned reseller, like it doesn't really throw me for much of a loop anymore. Like it's annoying and I don't like it, but it doesn't freak me out. And I do think that one thing, like when you think about what are the like lessons and valuables that you can take away from experiencing that, like one that immediately comes to mind is that I can tell somebody who's less seasoned, like, don't sweat it when you don't have when you have a
Right.
day where there's zero sales, like, tomorrow is coming, you will have sales again. Like, you don't have to extrapolate from that one day and, cast a shadow on your whole business or on you as a business person or on your sourcing choices. You can, like, just roll with the punches and go, like, you know what? I had a 0 day. Oh, well, like, here's to hoping tomorrow is better, and it probably will be. Like, I can probably count on, one hand. I'm sure I can count on one hand the number of $0 days I had last year, but none of them were back to back. Like, I never
Right.
had 2 days in a
Yeah.
row of no, you know what I mean? So it just seems so much worse in the moment. But, that's like kind of a practical thing that I take from it, is that I have that kind of earned wisdom to
Right.
encourage somebody else with, because it is unpleasant to experience
Right.
that, especially when that's how you're paying your bills. It's
Right.
scary when that happens,
Yeah.
and it's really slow or whatever. So, but I think I would love to hear from you guys, or like if there's anything really practical that you can pull out of this topic in terms of like, what can you learn from, selling nothing, whether it's because you're taking a break or it's because you're just having a terrible day of no sales or whatever. Like, what are the things that we can take away from that are helpful instead of getting nothing for nothing? We're getting something for nothing.
Yeah. I think I could go back to one of the top, in our previous discussions with the previous episodes we've had here is find the easy wins. Find the things that could instantly boost morale. Find the instant thing that brings you pleasure, that kind of gives you fulfillment. And I think that's one of the things that I've been able to do with, physically working out now, that it doesn't matter how my day starts. As soon as I get on that class or the gym, I was like, I'm going to accomplish something. And there's not a lot of things that can stop me, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's ice or class canceled, I'm going to accomplish something. So I think that's one of the things that I automatically get into, either that or really just unplug out of the day-to-day business. Sometimes we look at our business too microscopic, in a microscopic lens, that we don't see it and step back. I mean, the only way you could see the bigger picture if you step back and be like, this is how far I've come, and this is where I want to go. Something's up. It's not going where I want to. What are the different adjustments that I can make to prevent this from happening again? And I've always said, you're going to keep making the same mistake over and over again, or experiencing the same obstacles, because you haven't graduated from it yet. It's like you haven't learned the lesson that you need to learn.
Looking at you.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
So that's really like kind of like how I see it. It's like, what is that specific lesson that I needed to learn? Maybe like, sending offers, like, what are the proactive things that I should be doing that I'm not, like the running a sale. I mean, I remember me and Glenn talked about early on, we never ran sales. We never did it. And then if we finally sat down, it's like, yo, I think it's a good tool that we need to explore. I remember we sat down with an eBay team member, and they were talking about like, how do you guys run sale? Me and Glenn just look at each other like, we don't. Can you teach us? Remember that? It was like probably like one of our first. Yeah. So
That's
so
funny.
there's
Sale?
so many. Yeah. There's so
Running
many
sales?
tools. Yeah.
We don't like that giving discounts and stuff.
Markdown.
Just kidding.
Yeah. We want full price.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be kind of like a little bad guy here, because I would say I would not. Okay, here's the thing: I would not rest. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I definitely agree with Ken. I would send offers immediately. Let's start sending out some offers. Let's get some traction into the store. That's step number two. Step number three, I'm gonna go through all the items, and I want to see my lowest views. I want to see what is not being looked at all and why.
Man, this guy's
Did
a stats guy. Huh?
I love it.
Guy.
I love that.
Did I misspell something in the title? Are the pictures crappy?
Is it in the wrong category?
True. Could be the wrong
Sometimes stuff's
category.
just straight up in the wrong category. It happens.
What about the pricing? Is the pricing even up to date? Yesterday's price is different than today's price. I want to look
Yeah.
at that. Let me see what's going on. Number 4, I would be cross-listing, using List Perfectly, of course, on to Mercari and other platforms, and to make sure I get some more eyes and different eyes on these products to get them out of here.
Yes.
So those are
arguably the right eyes.
the right, exactly, and selling for the right price. So those are my steps that I would definitely do if we get some zero
Man,
sales.
that
a
just
day.
sounds nice.
I actually love that. Yeah.
Oh, last one. I would also double check to see the items that are not listed that might be hanging around your inventory, your
Yeah.
home, your office, whatever's
Get
there.
some quick
Why
wins
isn't this
that way.
listed? Exactly. So
Yeah.
get that listed, and let's try to see and bring in some more people with that. So
I actually don't feel like that makes you the bad guy at all. I think the
I'm
problem,
a good guy.
like, yeah, you're such a good guy. Listen,
You're
Okay.
not bad.
But,
I'm
like-
like Chucky.
You're right.
but I think if you can take those actionable steps without without doing it from like an unhealthy place where you're like, oh no, now I have to like punish myself for having a low sales day. If you're just like, let me do what I can and, you know, make sure I'm doing my best and take this beat that I've been handed by the universe to check all these things and like audit these things, I think that's good. Like for me, like Ken, when you were saying you'll face the same challenge over and over till you graduate from it. I think for me, the biggest challenge about selling nothing at times was that it would freak me out and I would be worried about it, you know, like I was not responding to it in a good way, like in a healthy, mature, seasoned way. So now I am, and it's like I've graduated from that challenge of like not letting it get under my skin when that happens. But I don't think that means that you have to just disengage and do nothing either. Like Glenn, I love
Right.
the idea of let's identify some things that I actually can do, because no matter how you feel about it or how you're approaching it, yeah, you sure as crap don't want another $0 day tomorrow. So like, of course, do something about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think it can be a little bit of like a hamster wheel if you're like, oh no, every time, you know, as the day is ticking by, if you don't have sales, then you're like, well, now I have to like rearrange my life and work double time because I did something wrong. Like that's what I
Yeah.
don't want people to take from it. And I don't think that's what you're saying. I just think that's
Yeah.
a very human tendency that we have when we're self-directed and we're running our own businesses and everything's up to us all the time, you know?
It's like, oh man, 0 sales. Let me take a shot, and then I'll try to.
Yeah.
You start going
Right.
into like a whirlwind of
Yeah.
something totally different. Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
But I do think that a lot of sellers fall into this like blaming eBay thing.
Yes,
When there
which I
is
don't
0
like.
sales. Yeah, I don't like that either. And there's
Like,
also
no,
this
do
idea
something
too
about it.
that if I just list it, it's supposed to sell, and that's not true either. It's
That's
like we
like
have to also
that's
put
an
in that
entitled
work.
mentality. Entitled
Yeah.
mentality, right?
It's like if eBay is such a huge platform, then why isn't this selling just because I listed it? And
Yeah.
it's been on there for 3 full days.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
it's
Hasn't
backwards.
sold.
It's backwards. Out of the 124 million eBay customer, why are they not watching yours? Maybe
Right.
your listing is the issue, not.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just that the entire world doesn't revolve around your activity.
That's also true.
It's a
That's true.
thought to consider. Thought to consider.
Would you say maybe 5 to 7 years ago selling that you could just list it and just assume that it's gonna sell, or
Me?
would you feel now you would
No.
think that you'd have to put in more work because maybe there's more sellers, maybe there's more competition?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like pretty strongly that it's still true that everything sells eventually. But I do think I have the luxury of that attitude about all of my stuff because, like, for example, this week I sold a little cloth bunny rabbit with a tulip painted on its ear. Someone bought that. Why? I don't know. Like, you could probably go to any thrift store and find those, and I don't even know why I listed it. It probably came free in a big lot of stuff, and I was like, sure, why not? Someone will probably pay $15 for this, right? Which is low, and like, I don't really list like super low dollar stuff like that anymore. I'd had it listed for years. It didn't take up much space, whatever. So I just left it. You know, it's just been there this whole time, and lo and behold, someone bought it, shipped it out this week. But the luxury of having that attitude is because I had so little, if any, time and money tied up in that item. So I'm like, sure, let's just see how long it takes to sell. You know, I'm not having to, I don't know, like, manage my inventory on that level because I have space for what I have, and enough of it does sell through, even the really old stuff, that, you know, I continuously have space for new stuff. And so I just like let it be. But, you know, the way that I'm even trying to see sourcing and stuff now as a more seasoned seller, like, I'm not really as willing to do a bunch of little low dollar experiments like that because I just want to get more bang for my buck, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I don't know that in my personal experience or like with my type of inventory, that, which is super miscellaneous, that it seems really different. I never had the expectation starting out that if I list this, it's going to immediately sell. The whole strategy was, I'm going to list this and eventually it will sell. And the whole point is I'm going to have a whole bunch of items. So I guess I just didn't really worry about it from that perspective.
Right.
I mean, I guess another thing to think about is, I know there's more sellers, but is your item like a strong eBay item, or is your item a strong Whatnot item or Poshmark item, or because now there's so many different platforms though, and you're focusing on the strengths of that item and the platform.
Right.
I feel like it just makes sense to have it cross-listed into something else to try to get, like you said, the best eyes on it, and you feel that it is going to make a sale.
Well, and that's why, like, now, you know, I'm new to List Perfectly, but now the way I'm approaching listing, as in cross-listing from eBay items to other platforms, is more specialized. Like, I'm not just dumping my whole inventory from eBay over to wherever it can go. Like, I am being selective because of that. Because it's like, you know, even though it's really fast and easy to cross-list stuff, it's like, I still want to even just the basic effort of putting that stuff over onto something else. Like, I want it to make sense and have like a higher chance, you know, than just the random rabbit with a tulip painted on its ear. Like, I'm not going to cross list that anywhere probably, you know?
Yeah.
One of the thought that came up to me when you said nothing, right? And the number figure that jumped up is 0, right? And Glenn spoke a little bit about it. It's like, look at your listing and find out the ones that have 0 views. So there is value when you realize that this is a listing that has gotten 0 views over the last 30 days. Now, what are you going to do about it? I would say, you know, go through it and check if there are errors. I mean, Anna spoke a little bit about it. Right category. And if it's still not there, then you have to make a business decision, an executive decision, saying that, okay, 1, it's a bad buy. 2, it's definitely not worth buying again because I don't want to go through this again. Or like Glenn said, maybe it's not the platform for this. So zeros actually help you realize something that you shouldn't be doing again. And again, if you don't learn from that, you're gonna keep doing it over and over again. I remember when I first started selling on eBay, I heard like somebody talk about like, hey, look at your listing traffic report and find the ones that are most viewed. in your store and buy more of it. I was like, that makes sense, right? And me being just trying to find numbers, back in the day, you can sort it high to low. I don't know if you can still do it now. I actually inverted it and I looked for the stuff that had 0 views, low to high views. Then I was like, what are this item? I don't want this in my
I'm not
store
buying this
ever again.
Yeah.
Right?
Blacklisted.
So like I've always said, like, I cannot really exactly tell you what you need to buy more of because trends change. But let me tell you, over time, these items are just bunch of zeros in your store. Actually, it's actually negative at that point because you've spent your money to buy it, you spent time to list it, and you're getting 0 views. You're getting $0. You're just putting you more deeper into the hole. So I think that's one of the cool thing about knowing your numbers, the nitty gritty numbers.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's what I was going to say. Like your numbers are going to tell you valuable information, even if you feel like your store is at a standstill. You can go and look at that in real time and learn so much from what you already have listed. And this reminds me a little bit when I was in graduate school, I had a professor who was my stats professor and conducted research. She was my chair for my thesis and stuff. So she was like super in the data analysis, right? But she taught all the basic research classes too. And she's amazing. But she would talk about how in scientific research, when you're reporting your findings, you talk about whether the analysis you ran, the options are it's statistically significant, right? You found a statistically significant effect, or you found a statistically non-significant effect. And she was a stickler about, we never say that it is insignificant because finding out that there was not a statistically significant effect is just as significant as finding out that there was a significant effect.
Yeah, knowing what worked drastically and what definitely didn't work is same
both
value.
Are equally valuable. Exactly.
Yep.
And she was a stickler about that because even just reflecting or implying with your language that because you didn't have a statistically significant effect, that your research didn't matter or that your findings were not, valuable or impactful is just wrong. And we can't view experimentation that way in the scientific community. So that just has always stuck with me whenever I'm looking at numbers for anything. But, nowadays I'm looking at stats and, just metrics and stuff in my eBay store way more than I'm doing any scientific research. But I think that it still holds, right? Like you have to have that view that no matter what you find, whether something's working really well or not working or whatever you find out is significant for you. And it's worth looking into it. So having, a moment where you're forced into a pause or there's nothing going on or it feels, you feel stagnant, like that is a perfect opportunity to go proactively learn from your own listings. But I love that.
Yeah.
Love like that, Ken.
There you go, Kenny.
Let's segue into talking about how our first Seller Club seminar went with listingparty.com. So Glenn, why don't you give us a short report about how it went and how did you feel about it? I mean, of course, it was definitely our first time, us three doing it, and give the listeners some updates.
I was gonna do a short report. I actually did a short novel, so this might take a little bit. Full report. Just kidding.
Full report.
So
I love this.
With List Perfectly and the Listing Party, we were on with Doug, and we were on with several people several sellers that joined us, and we had some great conversations regarding community, and Ken was also talking about just improving on like your process in your store, and you're also talking about like running ads, the success and different things that you've done there to also boost your sales, your 0 sales day or 0 impressions on your items. And so in the very beginning, we're just kind of explaining a little bit of who we are, what we do, and probably towards like the middle, a lot of people started opening up more, and we were able to share ideas. And I thought it was a great experience. We're gonna be on again, I believe, next month. So
For sure, yep.
for anybody that wants to join in, if you're part of List Perfectly and you want to join in on the listing party, then definitely be there when we're on.
Yep, and it is definitely, the official cross listing tool of Seller Club Podcast. But also, when you are a member of List Perfectly and you have a subscription, you actually get into Listing Party. So, what is Listing Party? Listing Party is actually an online community that there are actually different rooms that are open throughout the day discussing different topics. So I would look at it as a digital co-working space. As a
Yep.
matter of fact, they actually have a 24-hour room, a room that you can just hop in. Some people just put headphones on, and we all know that being an entrepreneur is a lonely journey, especially when you're in a digital online space. That you're a one man show. Sometimes you don't sell anything. So I would encourage everybody that hop on, be a part of a conversation, be a part of a discussion, because I believe that there is always something that you can discover from somebody else doing it in their industry. They
Yeah.
may be doing it better, they may be doing it differently, maybe more efficient, and just having that mindset about that is very cool. And that is something that List Perfectly provides. When you subscribe to any plan, you become part of it. So also, because we are partners, you get some discounts. So if you could click in our bio, you get 30% off on your first month. And if you use our code Seller Club Pod, you get 30% off. And if you have any questions about them, you can ask us, and if we can answer you, we can definitely direct you to some List Perfectly employees that are very willing to help. Anna?
Yeah, I was gonna say our first seminar was really awesome. We're doing them once a month, and we didn't even have to pull anyone's teeth. Like, it was so great. People wanted to participate and discuss with us. And really, I just wanted to say, like, as far as our seminars go, that's what we want. Like, we want you to come and hang out with us, come join the conversation. Actually, like, we're not trying to like lecture at you, but we're preparing topics for them. Kind of like we do for the podcast. Like, it's similar, but it's more interactive, and it's a great chance to just come. And we try to save time in each one to just do blanket, like, broad Q&A too. So if there's some burning question you have, what hair product does Glenn use, or why does Ken smell
Or
the way
not
he
use.
smells, like, right. Whatever your questions might be about our personal hygiene, you can come ask us. No, please don't ask us about our personal hygiene, but you can come
Only
ask
Anna.
us whatever. What'd you say?
I said only Anna.
Oh yeah, right.
Everything will
I'm
be
an open
directed to
book,
her.
people. Open book. But we did have a really fun time just hanging out with everybody, and we talked through the topic that we set up for, and everybody was really receptive and had some really great things to share too. So we're not, the experts in the room, but we're facilitating that conversation. So
For sure.
it's quite fun. I
Yep.
would encourage you to
And
come.
and also a reminder that there is actually a really awesome giveaway that is going on, that
Yes.
there is still 1 week left to enter. Make sure you follow us on IG, and the post will be up there. We're gonna pin it. We are giving away an iPhone 15, Seller Club Green iPhone.
Green, baby.
In collaboration with List Perfectly. So if you want something to boost your mood, get you out of that selling nothing kind of mood, make sure you
Yeah.
enter, because you could be the next lucky winner.
Can they resell it?
Ooh, they
I mean,
can do whatever
They
they want.
can.
It's unlocked, right?
It's unlocked. It is
is
unlocked.
There you go.
So
Resell
could-
it, make some money, reinvest in your business. Let's keep this going. baby.
Or they could gift it to Anna. They could gift it
Yeah.
to Anna. Like,
Ken's
accept
making fun
gifts
of me
as well.
because I need a new phone. all my technology is like aging out right now. It's fine. I'm taking care of it. Don't worry. I'm taking care of it.
That's
but
what us
I
resellers
mean-
do. We want things to last. We
Yeah,
can't just
exactly.
I mean,
It's because I'm
trust me,
stingy.
trust me. Glenn's no different.
Yeah.
I know.
He'll
I
use
feel
it until
like
he dies.
I feel
Yeah,
like Glenn and
exactly.
I are alike in a lot of key ways, and that's one of them. But
Yeah, exactly. I'm still
I don't
like
know why you're-
chiseling my own labels with stone, and
out
so
of stone.
take it to the
gosh.
post office.
That would be
So-
so funny if you actually chiseled like a rock that you chisel the address into, and you're like, "That's it. That's
Yeah.
the thing I want to mail.
Yeah,
No label
exactly.
needed."
No label, or still writing them out with like a feather. And,
Yeah, quill.
feather
And ink
pen,
and
just
everything like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get Glenn
exactly.
like a wax seal and some
Oh yeah, a wax.
Oh.
wax for his, so he
I
can send
like
things by
that.
pigeon or whatever.
I like that. All right, we talked about cross listing, but I also wanted
Yes.
to just a little discussion. So have you gone back to see what has 0 views or very low views in your store? What was it, and why do you believe no one's looking at it? So for me, I do sell a lot of hats, or I did sell a lot of hats on eBay.
Have sold so many.
Yeah.
hats.
Oh, you know what? Listed hats.
Yeah,
Not
yeah. What are you talking about
necessarily
selling?
sold.
Who said anything about you
Listed.
selling anything?
And of course, on hat brands, there's like Mitchell and Ness and New Era and things like that I get. 47 brand was another one. And I noticed that a lot of like my Mitchell and Ness were just not getting the views, not getting the sales compared to, let's say, the New Era or the other ones. And then I also noticed that teams that were not winning were definitely getting low views.
Dang.
And of course, out of season items as well, we're also getting low views. And I like to list, I don't care if it's jackets and it's summer or the
Just
shorts
list
in
it.
the winter, just
Same.
list it. You never know. Someone else in
There's
wherever
It's
they're
different
winter
at.
weather all over
somewhere
the
in the world.
world.
Yeah.
Especially with
Exactly.
EIS, like, yeah. Especially
Exactly.
with that, more than ever.
So get those listed. But I did notice that, of course, out of season was a lot lower. And and that's when really I had to make that decision, which it really did hurt. I was like, maybe hats just isn't the best market for this right now, compared to, let's say, Whatnot, where I can sell a lot more and getting the same amount of money. And what was kind of random too was like, man, should I just pull all my hats down? And then I ended up getting a return. I got a return from one of the football teams, NFL teams that just lost. And I was like, here we go. It's like they just
No.
lost. They're out of the playoffs. And then now I get a return
They don't
of
want
that
a part
hat.
of it.
Of course, I got the hat back. Of course, it's damaged. It's used.
That is a bandwagoner if I ever saw one.
Exactly. Wore it for whatever playoff game party they were
Lame.
at. Or maybe they actually went
Wow.
to the game. I have no clue. But of course, got it back and it was damaged. So
Great.
I was like, yeah, this is.
I'm out.
Exactly. So, but those were kind of like my lower viewed items. What about you, Anna?
That's a good question. I mean, I bet that little rabbit with the tulip on its ear was probably a very low view item for years, honestly, and still eventually it sold. It didn't need a ton of views. It needed the one right view. You know what I
Right,
mean?
the right
I mean,
buyer.
Yeah, so much of my stuff is like that. But I will say, so ever since, actually, since I've been preparing before we even moved, we moved in March of last year, and my contractor, my ride or die contractor, my sister-in-law is in Georgia. And so she started, when it became clear, like, okay, I need to be preparing my inventory to move and I'm trying to sell things down. Instead of having her do her usual thing, which was processing new items and photographing them to prepare them for listing, I was like not listing new stuff anymore because I had to move everything I had, really far. And so I had her start auditing my listings. And so I haven't explicitly looked at it because I had her sort the items basically by value, not by views. But I bet there's a very strong correlation between the things that are like somewhere in the mix of, being relisted over the years or sold similar or whatever. Oh, now there's only 2 photos and there used to be 10, or these are not the greatest photos because they were really early, or I was really lazy with the titling of, this little batch of items or whatever. So I'm sure that all the things that are probably the worst are the things that are user error / my fault as the lister. And so what's cool is she's been doing certain changes, and then other things like with the photos, since I have all the inventory with me, she hasn't redone photos for me, but basically she's cleaning up those listings as she's auditing them, and she's still working on this. Like, it's a big project because there's
ongoing
so many things, but every month she does a big batch of them for me, and it's really helpful because I do want that stuff to sell. And she is learning so much about what to buy and not buy when she starts sourcing for me again, so it's really good. It's worked out really well for us. But yeah, I'm sure that a lot of the least viewed, least traction kind of things are things that I could do something to improve. So, but right now, I am listing new stuff again. And so there's a whole chunk of her spreadsheet that's, items that probably just honestly need to be rephotographed. If they're worth keeping at all, they probably need to be rephotographed. But I'm waiting until she is done with the whole entire thing before I even bother to do that, because what I've learned is those things still might sell in the meantime anyway. I can't tell you how many times I've sold an item with a 3-word title. I'm ashamed to admit. I don't even know how that happened, but it was literally like, oh, this must have been the placeholder title from when I was like initially like logging this really quick. Like it probably said like
upload photo or something like that.
Yeah, like white stuffed cat or something. It's like literally that was the title that it had, and somehow it's still sold. But that is not what I recommend. Obviously those are like errors on my part, like things I overlooked or missed or whatever. But yeah, so I'll have some serious listing refurbishments to do once the whole process is said and done. But for me right now, I'm just focusing on the new stuff and letting her complete that audit, and then I'll deal with that, as it makes sense at that point in time. So I'm sure that a lot of it is things that are literally my own fault, and I'm not really ashamed to say it, although I am a little ashamed that I had a 3-word title because that's kind of ridiculous.
Kenny, what would you say?
My worst viewed are Adidas because they're ugly. I'm just joking.
Are you being biased right now?
I was gonna say they're low because Adidas is on there and they have a way better price.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Because Adidas, has an eBay store and just randomly and frequently slashes their prices by 50% off, and next thing you know,
and free shipping.
Yeah. So, well, that's one of the reasons, man. Yeah. So, well, not specifically really brand, but it's just more of like comps, right? Like when the brand is there, you have to be really conscious about pricing and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, they might have a limited amount of quantity in those stuff, and once it sells, they'll just rank better and stuff like that. And well, also to historically, just Nike just sells like 3 to 4x times per month than Adidas, so there's just more demand. That's the reason why I always say like, oh, Nike's better. But kidding aside, I would say a lot of that too is, especially in footwear, is just bad sizing. That is definitely one of the things that you have to be paying attention of, like buying men's 7.5 or men's 7. I think those are just terrible sizing. Men's like 12.5, just random, or men's size 18, 19, 21. Like out of the history of us, I think I've sold a size 20. Glenn has sold a size 21. But out of all, that's only once. It only happened once.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not smart to invest your capital on stuff that has the least demand. So that's why I always tell everybody, for men's I stick with size 8.5 to 13, and then for women's I stick with size 7 to 9.5, size 6 women. It's just a terrible size. Don't pick it up because only my wife wears size 6 that I know.
She's the
So,
only. I actually
she's-
know a couple of other people who wear size 6.
Okay, there's 3.
And
There's
I'm not
3
one of
people
them.
that wear size 6, and there's probably 100 listings. So there you go. The chances of those people shopping
Yeah.
the same shoe over and over again is
Let me
slim
ask
to
you
none.
this. If someone gave you or you found in a dumpster a brand new pair of size 21s or whatever, would you still list it?
Oh, yeah, I listed for $15. That would get me a Chick-fil-A sandwich meal.
There you
Delicious.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, just obscure sizing. It has to be very low cost and borderline,
Yeah.
like you said, borderline free. I mean, like Ross Dress for Less has like their markdown clearance, and, it's historically proven the ones that go on 49 cents are the terrible sizing, the size 21 soccer
Because that's why
cleat.
they're
Like,
still there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, who wears a size 21 to play soccer, right? That has to be like the slowest soccer player ever.
No judgment. No judgment.
No, I mean,
Kenny, come on now.
yeah. Or he's just gonna get red
He's
card
like,
all the
you're
time.
terrible. Just
'cause-
quit playing soccer already.
Yeah, because his shoes is so big, he'll trip everybody. So he get red cards all the time. He get thrown out of the game for tripping. But no, I think like you have, because not because it's a great product. There are condition, right? Sometimes it's just too used. Sometimes they're stained. Then the likelihood of
Flaws.
people actually
Yeah.
flaws, and then now you go into sizing. Then that really comes into play. So I think we have to be mindful of that, and actually take the responsibility of the blame and say, like, that is the reason why it didn't sell. That's the reason why it has 0 views. It's most of the time, like you said, it's user error. It's usually not the platform.
All right. Anything else you want to throw in before we go? Anything
I
else
just
we
want
should?
to, I just want to encourage everybody to not be stressed if you have even a slow sales day, even a 1 sale day, right? But think about when you feel like you're selling nothing, right? If that's even objectively true, whatever. But if you feel like, wow, nothing is selling, like, really don't just stop there, right? I just encourage everybody to think about it through this lens that we've kind of been tossing around on this episode, and figure out what you can do about it, like Glenn has said, and B, what you can like learn from it, and how it might actually prevent future moments or days of low or no sales. To take that extra step and figure out what you can glean from that situation and take some action too. I mean, I really do relate a lot to Glenn saying, here's my top 6. Here's the first 6 things you should do if you have like a 0 sales day. Because to me, it always feels a lot better to take action than to just wait and feel like there's nothing I can do about it. Because maybe there is nothing you can do directly immediately about it, but there is something you can do that will impact the overall picture. And that matters a lot. It's very empowering to see it that way. And I think it's true. So there you go. There's the value of selling nothing. And also, may we all sell something and not sell nothing, because that sucks. But if we must occasionally sell nothing, there is some value in it. And that's good news.
There we go. Great
Righty.
episode. I like it.
See you next one. Solo Club, we out. Peace.
See ya.